bell tolls. The midnight hour is upon us. It's time once again for two internet strangers to discuss the good and evil of the horror genre. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the terror within the Hallow-Holics Anonymous podcast.
Hey, Corey, do you want this weird necklace I found in my grandmother's old jewelry box?
I mean, yeah, sure. Why not? It's a little small.
Stylish, though. Hey, have you suddenly and inexplicably put on several pounds?
That is so rude. Let's just start the podcast. Hey, do you have any pickles or ice cream in the fridge?
Hi, I'm Maddie.
And I'm Corey.
And this is Hallow-Holics Anonymous.
A show dedicated to all things horror and occasionally Halloween.
And this week we are Poppin and Warlockin.
God, you said it. Our 12s of listeners all just cringed at once and melted in their seats. They are now all on the floor weeping for you.
I'm like a mom trying to teach you about life lessons with a rap.
I don't even know what to say to that.
We're talking about the Warlock trilogy today, which
yes.
Can't we even call it a trilogy?
I mean, we can call it I guess we have to, but considering the third movie is just a, mindless cash grab, script that was written without a Warlock that somebody just grabbed and, in crayon scrawled Warlock all over.
And it was straight to video.
Yeah.
I mean, in contrast, Part 2 had a $9 million budget. Part 3 had a $2 million budget.
And Part 2, I think, got a theatrical release as well.
Yes, it did.
1 and 2 were both in the theaters.
Mm-hmm. Part 3 was not. It's the redheaded stepchild.
Oh, 3's so bad.
The best thing about all three of these movies, which really only the best thing about two of them, is Julian Sands, though.
Yes, Julian Sands is probably the best thing about these movies, but I think coming in a close second is Richard E. Grant as Giles Redfern.
Yes, I love him. I love him in everything. The problem, though, is if I watch something like With Nail and I, it just makes me want to smoke cigarettes and drink coffee and alcohol all day.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in so much good stuff.
He is. He's brilliant.
Oh, he was in that crazy Jekyll and Hyde miniseries.
Was he?
Yeah.
Wait. Are we talking about Hyde? Because I don't remember him in Hyde.
Oh, no, I thought we were, but I know this is in 2015.
No, Jekyll, I mean.
Yeah, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I love Jekyll, though, but I was wrong.
Oh, such a good series.
Yeah.
He's in The Little Vampire. He's actually a pretty funny character in that. Not a great movie, but he's pretty funny in it.
He's in a bunch of Doctor Who as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's pretty solid in his appearances, I think.
Yeah. The main reason I'm muddling through this is because there's something specific I know him from and I can't remember what it is all of a sudden.
For me, it's With Nail and I. That's the one that always comes to mind when I think about him.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've seen that, but that's not the one I'm thinking of. It might have been earlier in his career.
Oh,
The Hound of the Vet Basket. No, that was 2002. It wasn't that.
He did one where he played King George, Black George, and he was pretty funny in that.
No, I don't think it was that either.
He was never in Scarlet Pimpernel, was he? Seems like a role he'd be in.
I feel like you just invented that to make me be like, oh yeah, that's great. Be like, haha, that never existed.
I think if it doesn't exist in some parallel universe, it does, because that is the sort of role he was built for.
True.
Hammy British melodramas.
I am a complete and utter moron. Bram Stoker's back.
He was, yes.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, Dr. Seward.
Oh, and Hudson Hawk.
Oh my gosh.
Hawk was the other one. He was like the big bad in Hudson Hawk.
Okay, guys, now that we have discussed the filmography of Richard E. Grant and what we got right and wrong.
Yeah, we need to move on before I start singing songs from Hudson Hawk. That's too much.
We have an old but new segment we're bringing back into the show, but this time I'm not presenting it.
Yes, it will be me discussing horror news. So I would like to talk briefly about something I am very angry about, and I blame some of you for it, unfortunately. I know this is news, and I know the news is supposed to stay objective, but I am incapable of objectivity, so I am angry at many of you. And I'm actually angry at Maddie, too, because Dr. Sleep released on Friday. I went to support it. I went to see it. My boy Ewan McGregor, I don't miss a movie with him in it. And it's a direct sequel to The Shining, so I went to see it, but nobody else did. It was projected to make $25 million opening weekend. It made 14 on like $100-something million budget. So it's a complete and utter bomb of a fantastic movie. Like, I haven't read the book, but the movie was fantastic. It was near dark meets
a Stephen King story.
Yeah, like it's just all over the place, and it's so good, and it's doing so poorly that it could be detrimental to the future of horror and or R-rated horror.
Okay.
It was released after Halloween. Midway was released as well. There was some other stuff going on, so I kind of get what happened. Midway didn't do very well either, for that matter. It made like 17 on 100 million.
Well, to be objective here, some of the best horror is the stuff that goes under the radar, and horror has been around since about the invention of cinema, practically, so I don't think it's going to take such a heavy hit because of one practical flop.
No, I honestly, I'm over-dramatizing. I am really, really sad about it, though, because it was 160 minutes, and I enjoyed every second of it. I don't think any time was wasted.
Well, 160 minutes is asking a lot of your audiences when you don't market a movie well enough. And frankly, I don't think the marketing was very good.
Yeah, I had to pee twice during it.
Speaking of peeing, we have a game this episode.
Great segue. I really am not peeing during this show on mic. Just let's clear that right up.
So I had an idea. We decided that we're only going to do games if we feel inspired. Otherwise, it's going to get stale. Well, I was inspired this week. You remember the old monsters, the crew of the Wolfman, the Mummy, Frankenstein's monster, of course Dracula, and sometimes the Invisible Man, and also Gilman, right? And then there's the later crew, which is Freddy, Michael, Jason, sometimes Ghostface, and Pinhead. Well, Warlock. Julian Sands, especially as the Warlock, deserves his own crew, and I think we need to build one.
In fact, only Julian Sands, not other guy.
Mm-hmm. Not
other guy doesn't deserve anything.
Well, okay, to be fair, he did a decent job in the role he was in compared to everyone else in the movie.
Well, yeah. And he was actually pretty dope in that one Howling he did that I'm the only person in the world that likes.
Howling 4 or?
The Freaks. He did the Freaks.
I think that was part 4 because part 3 was Marsupials, right?
Oh, that one was really bad.
Oh, yeah, but it's
yeah, it was the
bad.
Freak Show one where the dude went to moved into town and did odd jobs and turned out the carnival guy was a vampire and there was a fight at the end.
You know, that's not the only werewolf movie he's been involved with either.
Isn't it?
Mm-mm. He was in this he was in a made-for-TV movie called Full Eclipse.
Oh, with Mario Van Peebles.
Yes.
That movie is dope. I really like that movie. Mm. Although, everything that happens in that movie is negated at the end when he's like, hey, Mario Van Peebles, lay in my blood so you can do exactly what you just killed me for. But it's still a great movie. That's one of those movies that I hold in, the same compartment as, Split Second with Rutger Hauer. Mm-hmm. Or, Omega Doom with Rutger Hauer. Basically, most Rutger Hauer movies from that time period. Yeah.
So the first member of our crew is the Warlock. Who's the second member, Corey?
I want to give some lesser known people some room to work here, so I'm gonna throw Leslie Vernon in there because he doesn't really get to have his own crew. I
like it, and he's kind of the funny, charismatic member of the group without the British accent.
Yeah, he'd be like the Freddy.
Yeah, exactly. Or the Leatherface, if you considered Leatherface part of that old crew, actually.
How would he be the? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we've got the Warlock, we've got Leslie Vernon. I feel like we need to throw in someone a little less satanic supernatural, but still supernatural nonetheless. Ooh, I really want to say Leslie Nielsen as Dracula, but that would be ridiculous. I had a character in mind earlier, but... Oh, yes! The cop zombie from Dead Heat.
Treat Williams or Joe Piscopo?
Yes, Treat Williams.
Okay.
You're like, it's never Joe Piscopo.
I just really like to show that I know the main characters in that movie every time it comes up. All right, I had one, but it just escaped my brain. We've got Wisecrack, we've got Silent, we've got Leader. We kind of need Pure Monstrosity. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm adding too much magic here, but I think, no, that's a bad idea. Just because I think it would be hilarious, I want to put the black gas station attendant zombie from Land of the Dead in this crew. Just because, everybody else on this team would have to spend so much time wrangling the poor guy. Oh, especially if they were anywhere near a convenience store or gas station. Oh, man. I feel like the Warlock would make the biggest mess out of them all constantly. Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm. I think technically he's the only one that's killed kids. We need one sometimes character. And I know exactly who that has to be. Who's that? Candyman. Candyman was the one I was going to say and forgot. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, you forgot him because he's the sometimes crew member. Yeah. Good call. Mm-hmm. Warlock, Leslie Vernon, Treat Williams as zombie cop. Just saying his name makes me giggle. Zombie from Land of the Dead? Yes. And Candyman. I think that's a good crew. That is a pretty awesome crew. I mean, I feel like there's going to be a lot of infighting because you put a good guy in and I put a zombie in. That's true, but... So they're going to have some problems. Well, you know what? In one of... No. In what... Isn't Leatherface almost a good guy in the remake? I mean, as good as somebody who murders people, cuts their faces off, and wears them over his own can be, I suppose. Okay, fair enough. I think he does a little bit of loosening of restraints, but I think he does that in some of the old movies too, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? He falls in love. I think I'm more comfortable calling Leatherface an innocent rather than a good guy, and by innocent, I mean the way he thinks, like sort of a naivety, a simple innocence, Okay, so let's say at the end of Dead Heat, which I'm about to spoil, let's say they walk into that fog, and as it turns out, they're not going to melt. They're just going to keep rotting. Don't you think he'd become a bad guy after that? After he went crazy? Why do you think he'd go crazy? It'd be funny. Okay. Kill this guy, would ya? That would probably mess everybody up. Yeah. Maybe he's just with them because he just has to have people to hang out with and they have something in common. Or maybe this is a cop story and he's undercover. Oh, he's undercover. So he's pretending to be a bad guy because he's got the look with his face half burned off from that car accident. Yep. So yeah. He's back at the end of that. Mm-hmm. Looked pretty badass though. True. That's the best part of that movie. So moving on to an actual relevant topic. Are you ready to talk about our first film? I think so. The one that started it all. Yeah, the one that's actually really good. Yeah. Warlock. New World Pictures had to shelf this for a couple of years because they were struggling with their budget. In a time. Yeah, I read some about that. It was finished in 86 or something. To admit your crimes before man and God. His coming was foretold. Now, he is here. You know the signs. You are bewitched. He has the face of beaded curtains. You remember those? The charm. Remember them. They still exist sometimes. Evil absolute. Evil absolute. Man, him and Treat Williams would never see eye to eye. Also has one son.
Okay, to be fair, he wasn't his son yet, so it's weird that they used that tagline.
For you the first to have laid eyes upon the new Messiah.
Now, an enemy from his past.
Who appointed you executioner?
And a girl from the present.
Do you know what he's capable of?
Next time he's gonna kill me.
I'll not let him harm you.
I absolutely hate
Are the
every
only
outfit
hope.
she wears in this
Yeah,
movie.
oh, God, yes.
This is the terrifying adventure that could set the world on fire.
There is some pretty sweet stuff in this movie.
Warlock.
She was the daughter on Footloose. That's why I recognize her, isn't it?
Yeah, she's also in Fame.
Yeah, the TV show.
I thought she was in the movie. Well, it doesn't matter. She wasn't very good.
No, not at all. All right, so Warlock, a film about a man who just wants to practice his religion in peace, and he is persecuted for his beliefs.
Now, we're of course talking about the witch hunter.
No, I'm talking about the witch.
No, he has to go through a lot because of his beliefs that you have to burn a warlock over a basket of cats, Corey, to be fair.
Okay, that's very true. And I had never heard of that one before. That was new. So our movie starts out in old-timey America. I would assume somewhere around Salem, or New England, somewhere up that way.
I'm pretty sure New England, probably.
This is always, if it's witches, it's New England. So Giles Redfern, our witch hunting hero, has captured himself a warlock, played by Julian Sands. We never get a name. He is known as the Warlock, if I remember correctly. I'm going to check that. Yes, he is only known as Warlock. Warlock's all tied up. He's got his little thumb cuffs on that, like, hook to his toes so he can't wiggle his hands about and do any magic. Of course, none of this works. He ends up, does he escape before he's attached to the pyre? I don't remember.
He escapes before because he's in the prison cell when it happens.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he gets out of his restraints, turns into a time tornado, and blows himself to the 80s. 1987, probably, to be specific, since this movie took a couple years to come out. And I assume they were a little bit – I don't know if I saw a different version when I was younger, but Giles Redfern, the witch hunter, also ends up in modern 80s times. I assume he jumped into the time tornado as well, but it never really clarifies that. And he actually finds his dead body at the end of the movie. Oh, there's going to be spoilers all through this because this is too old for me not to spoil.
And that would be damn upsetting for me too, so.
Yeah, it would be, especially when he fell in there. That is rough. So the Warlock ends up in the 80s first, and he gets up to some horrible stuff because he finds out from the Channeler, played by Mary Woronov, who is following us lately.
I know, I was thinking, did I just subconsciously remember she was in this or something?
Yeah, I don't know, but she's all over the place. Mm-hmm. So he finds out from her that this book he needs contains the true name of God, which I guess destroys God or something.
Well, the idea is that when the name of God was spoken, it created the world. So if his name is spoken backwards, it will uncreate the world.
Oh, okay.
That's what the movie comes up with. I don't think that's actual biblical myth.
Oh, no, I don't either. But what's the point of what's the Warlock going to do if there's no more world? He wasn't very clear on that.
He's going to win because he wants to be the son of Satan, and that's kind of Satan's MO, isn't it?
Yeah, uncreating, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit convoluted, but whatever.
Well, I mean, these movies are pretty much a cult light. They give you a taste of what an evil satanic character can be, a hint of his powers and evils, but never once do you actually get heavily bogged down by real plot or mythology, because they're just fun.
Did you know that originally the Warlock was supposed to be the good guy?
What?
Yeah, the early incarnation of this script had him being like this misunderstood, like, decent dude. And you can kind of still see it in his interactions with some of the characters, how he's really polite and he's really polite. Like that little kid that he ends up stealing the fat from so he can fly and murdering.
Well,
he's really nice to that kid.
Like tearing him to pieces like a coyote would. Yes.
Right. But he's really, really nice to that kid before he finds out he hasn't been baptized.
Mm-hmm.
So like scenes like that point to the original plot, which made the Warlock a misunderstood good guy. I don't remember if it tested poor. I don't know how far they got. I don't think they got very far. I think the producers just put the kibosh on it.
Well, I mean, Julian is just so good at playing a straight up unemotional bastard.
Oh, I love him. Every time I watch him in Warlock, it makes me want to see Tales of a Vampire again.
I love that movie.
Yeah, me too.
It's a less appreciated but really good simple vampire story.
Mm-hmm. It is such a dirge, though. It is so slow, but like good slow to me.
Yeah.
This movie spawned a catchphrase for me and my best friend growing up.
Oh boy.
There's a scene where let me see if I can find the exact quote, because we didn't use the exact quote. God, I hope it's here. I should have done better homework.
While you're looking for that, I just gotta say, this is another movie where I feel really bad for one of the characters. Poor Chaz, just this nice, effeminate man who sees someone down in their luck who most people would have called the police on, lets him spend the night in his house, looks after him, offers to make him breakfast and give him a lift wherever he needs to go. And what does he do? Rips his finger off, bites his tongue out, and steals his ring.
Yeah, that wasn't cool.
Also destroys his antique table.
And it wasn't probably even like a cool ring either. It was probably like a dime store thing.
Yeah.
All right, I can't find it, but I know enough to say it, so it's okay. All right, it came up in the trailer, and I mentioned it in the trailer. I quoted it. So there's a scene where like he's talking about how evil the Warlock is, and he says a sentence, "I forget," and then he ends his little like speech, Giles does, with "He's evil, absolute." And me and my best friend, for the majority of our high school career, at random times, would just shout, "He's evil, evil, absolute." At times where it didn't make sense. It was absolutely ridiculous. But that was much like the Maniac song I think I talked about in a previous episode. Maniac. We also had the evil absolute thing. We took a lot of catchphrases from horror movies when we were kids.
You know much about the writer?
No.
David Twohy, however you pronounce it, wrote the scripts for like the Riddick films, Pitch Black, G.I. Jane, the sequel to the Warlock Armageddon, and Waterworld. So that was a fun fact.
I'm the only person in the world that likes Waterworld.
That's not true. Otherwise they wouldn't have released a director's cut Blu-ray recently, so.
Fair. I'm buying the hell out of that. So did you know that this movie spawned a murder?
What? Okay, go on.
Yeah, this is nuts. 1995, a Canadian kid named Sandy Charles and some 8-year-old boy killed a 7-year-old and cut pieces of his body off, like stripped flesh off of him, and boiled it and drank it because they saw in the film that it would give them the ability to fly. So they actually tried to do this. It didn't work, obviously. Sandy was found guilty, but insane. So he ended up sent to a like high security asylum where I believe he still is.
That is very upsetting.
Yeah.
Murder itself is upsetting. Child murder is really upsetting. But a child murdering another child, that's incomprehensible. It's not something you can really understand. Not that I can understand murder in any scenario, but it's just like, how did they make a decision like that? That's horrible.
Yeah, it really is. On a completely different note, and a little bit of a brighter note, when Julian Sands got the script, he just like looked at it, he's like, this is a slasher movie, and threw it to the side. So he didn't even touch it for a while before he looked at it. When he did pick it up, though, he was actually like really into it and really excited to be in the movie. He was originally considered to be Redfern, and Grant was supposed to be the Warlock, but apparently like he just, I don't know how Steve Miner decided this was casting against type, but apparently that's what he decided to do. So somehow he thought Richard Grant would have been a better evil Warlock than Julian Sands, which is insane.
Well, no, I mean, if you look at Richard Grant's pretty good at playing a bastard too. And he
for sure. But
striking eyes.
Yeah, this would not have been the cult classic it is without Julian Sands as the Warlock.
I think either of them could have done it, but yeah, I think how it worked out was perfect.
Yeah. The little kid, and this annoys me too. I didn't know this until I started researching, but the death of the unbaptized child that we were just talking about, that was supposed to be shown and a little gory, but they didn't do it because, once again, we can't kill kids.
Well, I'm not sure how I would have felt about that. I think that would have taken this out of campy territory where it very comfortably sits. It would have been a different type of movie.
And be campy. You've seen Demon Knight.
It would have been a different type of movie, and you know it.
I'm going to kill a kid in a campy way.
Okay, well, I'm going to cut that scene out.
Probably for the best.
And just reference it. Oh, Corey? Yeah, he murdered a child to fly.
The previews originally indicated that the Warlock was supposed to be the satanic messiah. Like, they really pushed that. But I guess they cut a lot of that out before it came to video. Like, it was in the we must have watched the theatrical because it mentions a lot of that. But apparently there's a video cut where it doesn't mention the satanic son stuff as often.
Well, that's weird because isn't his driving goal to become the son of Satan?
Yeah, that's why I'm not sure. Like, I don't know. Maybe there was just more of it. I don't know.
Well, they definitely played with that in the sequel.
Yeah, they did. So here's a weird one. And I'm just going to quote this directly from IMDb because it's really hard for me to understand. I'll try to explain it because I think I figured it out. In Cassandra's house on the wall hangs Gladys, which is Phoebe's scary woman coming out of the frame painting from Friends.
Really? I didn't notice that.
In Warlock, I didn't either. In Warlock, she has a different hairstyle and a pink dress rather than blue, but the frame, background, and pose are identical.
Huh.
So now I have to, research paintings in TV shows.
Oh, well, there's Gladys and Glidis. And it's in one of the later seasons because it's when she's living with Joey.
Oh, okay.
Not Phoebe, Rachel.
Okay.
Yeah. I've watched Friends way too many times.
Laurie Singer wasn't into the makeup.
Wasn't very good makeup.
Yeah, no. Well, apparently it would have been better if she would have been okay, but she didn't use the prosthetics for 40-year-old, and she definitely didn't use the prosthetics for 60s.
Laurie.
She was just like, I'm not into it.
Did she pick her terrible clothing too?
I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I have never seen a sweater like that with shoulder pads.
No.
Even in a normal 80s movie. What the hell were they thinking?
You could just put shoulder pads and stuff in the 80s.
This doesn't make sense. It looks so bad. And normally I'm all for 80s clothes, but every single thing she wore in this movie was just terrible.
Mm-hmm.
On the lighter note, I loved the Amish dude. He was like, Warlock? Yeah, I figured let's do this shit.
Yeah, the Mennonite, that was pretty great. That's kind of what I liked about, I liked a lot about this movie too, is they just kind of went with it, and they did it right. They went to a Mennonite guy who would have had knowledge about hexes and hex marks and all that stuff. He would have known the supposed signs of a witch being about. I really like the way they did stuff like that too. And I like the airplane with the cream curdling and all that, and Redfield just being super confused. Maybe there's a good witch.
I also liked that even though there was a hint at some kind of romantic tension towards the end of their storyline, the movie didn't lean heavily into that between Redfern and the girl, because they really leaned heavily into that in the sequel.
Yeah, they did. I think they did it really well. Like, as soon as the romance was about to happen, it's assumed that Redfern just went back to his original time.
And then his gravestone changed. I will never forget.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. The Chandler's death, this is the last thing I have, by the way. The Chandler's death was supposed to be a lot more violent. She was supposed to be topless and then getting frozen after the devil's eyeballs emerged from her boobs. And then the Warlock stomps on her to pieces to free them.
Well, at least, they brought a little bit more of that gore into the sequel.
Yeah, true.
Maybe they felt they could cut a little loose with that, and that's why they did it. I'm not sure. Maybe,
but the sequels, I don't know.
I love Mary Warnoff, but I don't need to see her boobies, even if they're prosthetic versions.
I don't know. Have her boobs been in anything?
Well, I'm sure they came close in Terrorvision.
Yeah. I'd be curious about her boobs back then.
Google Mary Warnoff's boobs, you weirdo.
All right.
Don't do it.
That. No, I'm doing it. You said it. All right, Mary Warnoff's boobs. Oh, has Mary Warnoff ever been nude?
Did someone seriously ask that question?
Yep, she was last seen naked 30 years ago at the age of 45. Nude pictures are from movie scenes from the class struggle in Beverly Hills from 1989. Dude, she was still really, really attractive back then, too. Her first nude pictures were from a movie called Sugar Cookies in 1973 when she was 29. Oh, look, there are boobs right there. More boobs. I found a treasure trove of Mary Warnoff's boobs.
Oh, my God.
You told me to.
I was being facetious.
Well, the damage is done. I've seen boobs. Do you want me to send you the link?
No.
Here, I'll post it.
I knew you were going to do that. Yes.
Give me 1 second.
I didn't really feel like Warlock, the first one, was a horror movie so much as like an adventure film.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, there you go. You got that link for later.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to throw that in the trash. I would definitely recommend watching it if you like.
Oh, for sure. Like, yeah. if you only have time to watch one movie about a warlock played by Julian Sands, it would be this one, for sure.
That's a very specific slot to fill, but there's only 2 of them.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to push people away from the second one. That's why.
You didn't like the second one?
I didn't love this. It's not that I hated it. It's just that it was entirely
trying too hard.
Well, not even trying too hard. It's just I've seen that movie 100 times. I saw it when it was called Star Wars. I saw it when it was called Harry Potter. I saw it when it was called Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but to be fair, it was before Harry Potter.
Yeah. I'm saying it's just another wish fulfillment fantasy hero's tale thing.
But at least they're not brother and sister.
True.
You can't tell me you didn't love some of the deaths in this movie.
No, I definitely did.
Okay, good. As long as we can agree on that. Like the art sculpture bit, I loved that.
Mm-hmm. That was cool. That was really cool, actually.
And the bit with the pregnant lady, which I'll talk about that later, but that was basically my first experience, seeing a dark horror film when I was 5 years old. I walked into my aunt's bedroom at the old farm, and the video was playing, and it was on that scene. I just kind of sat down and watched it. So it kind of stuck with me. And we will talk about that scene.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
Oh, it's coming soon.
Oh, yeah.
All the signs are now in place.
Warlock is here.
The son of Satan has returned to fulfill his destiny.
Why dost thou command?
There are 5 stones like the one she wears. You must possess them all.
He has 6 days to seek out the stones of power.
Who the hell are you? I'm interested in this stone. It's not for sale. I never said anything about buying.
And hold destruction.
Picasso. Definitely Picasso.
In the palm of his hand.
Tomorrow, everything is going to be destroyed.
I've come for the stone.
There's only one way to stop a warlock.
You mean I have to fight? I can't even fight the school bully.
A chosen few stand between him and his quest.
Who am I?
A second warrior.
Get the stone as far away as possible.
They must destroy him.
That's the best you can do!
Before he destroys
good in that suit.
Ride's over.
I love that.
But to conquer the Warlock,
Betrayal's partners.
they must face the ultimate fear.
You look so so tough now, do you, Blondie?
Julian Sands.
It is time.
Warlock, the Armageddon.
So, 700 years ago, a druidic abortion ritual went terribly wrong. In present-day 1993, that's all about to change. Julian Sands is back, and what's more, he's got a haircut. Also, somehow, despite the fact that he was defeated in part 1, he still got his wish to be the son of Satan. So, that's cool for him.
Well, I mean, he did do everything to fulfill his part of that deal. He just happened to die right after it. So I guess it's legit, you know?
Well, the director, Anthony Hickox, was responsible from one of our favorite duo films, Waxwork 1 and 2.
Yes.
And he directed Full Eclipse, the movie with that guy.
Mario Van Peebles, the werewolf cop movie.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
So it's so crazy that he wasn't involved with part 3, but one of his actors from one of his movies ended up in part 3. And he directed Hellraiser 3 as well, which is funny because, oh goodness, what's her name?
Ashley Lawrence.
Ashley Lawrence is in part 3. Ashley Lawrence of Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Which, gosh.
And Hellraiser 6.
And it's kind of funny that they pretty much took as many elements as they could from Hellraiser and did them poorly in part 3. But this isn't about part 3.
Yeah, no, we're not there yet. Thank God.
I found the credits at the opening of this film very distracting. I think they were too frequent and they kind of broke up the action so much in the opening sequence that it lost some of its energy. They're exorcising this woman of Satan's baby. And then there's a credit sequence, right? And then you see her screaming, and there's another credit sequence. And you see them raising their hands, and there's another credit sequence. And it's just every few seconds there's a credit, and it just...
I didn't like that either. And it kind of how it turned into a painting on parchment every time they did it.
Yeah, exactly.
That sort of tore me out of it. Yeah, I didn't like that either.
Yeah. There's a scene towards the beginning, though, when Julian Sands is born, in which a woman puts on this rune stone before she goes on a date, and she looks at the moon, and then she gets instantly pregnant, and she gives birth to this giant mass sludge tumor thing that Julian Sands rises out of.
She gave birth to Julian Sands' placenta first. She laid a placenta egg. He came out of that.
I was 5 years old when I saw that scene.
Oh, Jesus.
And I remember being scared. But that scene stuck with me for years, so finally watching this again reminded me of it. And I was like, the effects in that scene held up really well. But
because it was practical. I thought it was great.
Yeah, the practical effects in this movie are badass.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, that 90% of the other effects are not practical at all. And they are early 90s bad animated CGI. They're just bad. They're very cheesy.
Yeah. And they only get worse in the next one.
And did you not love Zach Galligan from Waxwork and Gremlins? Didn't you not love his little cameo where he shows up for the date? He's like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, I was wondering if that was a cameo or if that was one of his early roles. It had to have been a cameo because he was already doing pretty well back then.
Well, it was after the Waxwork movies, and he had worked with Anthony Hickox, who directed Waxwork.
Yeah, right. So that was definitely a favor.
Oh, by the way, Anthony always, that I've noticed, does cameos in his own movies too. He did it in Waxworks 1 and 2, and he was in this one at the beginning of the movie as the blonde dude who killed the exorcised lady and took the runestone.
Oh.
Yeah. And the love story in this film was very, 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 very heavy-handed.
And everything about this movie is I didn't hate this movie. I don't want to sound like I hated it, but everything was just so typical and so standard and so boilerplate horror movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh. It's just they didn't try very hard to do anything cool.
Another cameo, Circus Dwarf, that played by Michu Mizaros, was also in Waxwork. He's in Freak as well.
Right. I actually, my brain completely erased that whole freak show part.
Oh, actually, I thought the freak show part wasn't that bad, honestly.
Oh, I liked it too. It's just my brain shut it off.
Well, what's cool about this actor is actually he did perform with Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey, and he was a stuntman as well as an actor. He was also in Alf. He wore the bodysuit when they needed a full body shot of Alf.
Oh, that's cool.
So he's definitely had some street cred.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's a good thing for the Antichrist that all the people who owned these stupid rooms were dumbasses. Like, he was able to manipulate all of them so easily. Oh, God,
yeah. And he even told them, he told them, I can't have this unless you give it to me.
Mm-hmm. And the dude in the mirror especially. It's like, what the hell? He didn't... You could have just said, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah, they were playing fast and loose with the mythos here, too, a little bit, I think. Yeah. They weren't really committed to the rules of the world.
There is another great cameo I have to bring up. It's the townspeople after that random lady's crucifixion when they're yelling.
Uh-huh.
George Buckflower. He got a cameo as one of the yelling people. He usually plays...
Who's that?
Well, he has a cameo, actually. He's a producer. He was a producer, actor, stuff like that. But he was in every single John Carpenter movie until he died. He was always the homeless dude.
Okay, I'm sure if I went back, I'd recognize him.
Mm-hmm. So I thought that was funny when I saw him. I was like, dang, how many people did they get into this movie as just these small minor parts for fun? Also, after all the prep, all of this huge storyline of these two characters training, of them dying and being brought back to life and all of that, right? They were pretty awful warriors.
Yeah.
They were terrible.
Yeah, they especially the guy who went off on his own.
Mm-hmm.
They had all the ingredients to beat the Warlock properly, but he still was like, I must steal this knife and go do my thing, and it's going to go bad.
Yeah.
But that also made for a really great scene.
Yeah, the dads showing up, friends again with their guns and just marching towards the devil to buy time. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool too. But I'm talking about the elevator scene.
Oh, yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, where those two were in the elevator and then it shuts, and the next time you see it, it's Julian Sands walking out with just blood and gore. It was it looked like a butcher shop with pieces of old man meat hanging from the ceiling.
Just casual and completely unaffected.
Oh, I hope I never have to say old man meat again in my life. That is a gross statement.
But this is also a really great example of Julian Sands, how badass he is playing this role even in the sequel, and that he completely deadpan. He's like, yeah, I knew that was going to happen sooner or later. I'm doing my thing. I love the circus freak thing. Well, I don't love when they put the poor dwarf on the, Iron Maiden, but I love the guy getting trapped in the mirror because he's a dipshit. I love that whole trick in the fun house. What's behind the mirror. I love that you get a glimpse of what that world is.
That was cool. Yeah, that was really cool.
Mm-hmm. I love when that rich art collector gets turned into a piece of art. That's pretty badass.
Easily the best death in the trilogy, that one.
It's kind of funny though, because it's Julian Sands starts this movie not even knowing what to call a car. Which is weird because he's been in the modern time before. He should remember what a car is called.
Yeah.
But he knows who Picasso is. So the only thing I could think is Picasso must be in hell.
Yeah, he must be.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Because this is the one, the second one is the one where he keeps killing drivers and making their zombies drive the car, right?
Yeah. Well, he only does it once, then he steals a car, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought he did it a second time.
Well, he killed the second guy. He just took his car on his own.
Right.
He keeps killing people.
Well, that's what they deserve, I guess.
That guy tried to help him. Well, he did try to help the son of Satan, so I guess he did get what he deserved.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, ignorance is no excuse.
None.
Which just goes to show, guys, don't help anyone. Don't never be the good Samaritan, because you might find out you're helping the son of Satan.
Right. Basically, if you ever notice anybody that needs help ever, just cross the street and run in the opposite direction of the person in need.
Run away from the devil, my friends.
Or somebody who just got hit by a car.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's what Jesus would do.
Or someone having a medical emergency.
Oh, God. So there's an unnecessary dumb love story in this, and I kind of just wish more of the movie was just Julian Sands half of the film. Because his parts were always fun.
Mm.
Which was kind of similar in part one. His parts were kind of the best scenes.
Yeah, as they are in every movie he ever does, including Rose Red.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what? That's true. I was thinking about Rose Red earlier. I was like, I need to rewatch that for Julian Sands. They definitely upped the gore in this one over part 1. So if you watched part 1 like Corey did and thought, I need more gore with this, well, you might be satisfied with part 2.
Yeah, I think so, definitely.
Yeah, just skip
especially
through the
with like
scenes.
interesting gore.
Yeah. Oh, and when he melts at the end, that is pretty sweet.
Yeah, that was really well done too. And again, all practical, like all cool.
And like you very rarely see that kind of gory practical effect and it just looking as good as it did.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they half-ass it and you see someone burning a little and then you see a red skeleton and it falls apart. But no, you saw like flesh melting, rib bones falling apart, just everything being stripped from his body. It was very detailed.
Yeah. It was well done.
Mm-hmm. Though I wonder why they didn't freak out a lot when his hand came up and took the birth stone, like the birth rune stone, and disappeared. It's like, guys, your fight's not over. He might come back faster. Aren't you at least going to try to dig for that stupid stone?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that right there means like he has the birth stone, the stone that will bring him back. Like he could have come back.
Yeah. So again, back to them being pretty awful warriors.
Yeah. You know, you'd think they would have at least used the birthstone to, like, start 3, even though it was a different warlock.
Well, I'm sure they had... I think this one had an issue with getting released as well. So I'm sure they just didn't ever... It was one of those things that left it open-ended for a sequel, but they never had the finances to do it. And then maybe the studio who had the rights afterwards, I don't know the production elements, but they were like, well, we have the rights to this. And we have a movie we just made. Let's just connect them, use the title, and release this other film under that title so it can get a bigger audience since it's going to be straight to video.
For sure.
Oh, which leads us to our final film.
Yes. Which I think we might put on pause until tomorrow because you're about to have puppies come over.
No, I thought you were about to say you're about to go on an epic rant because I am.
Oh.
There was a brief interruption because we had to cut off for the night. I'm dog sitting 2 extra dogs now. But now we're going to finish the rest of the episode and hopefully they don't cause too much chaos in my apartment in the meantime.
Yeah, and hopefully I've retained some sort of information from the last of the 3 warlocks.
Oh gosh, this isn't another Black Roses situation in which you just, like, it's gone.
I don't think it's quite that bad. I remember the beginning. I'm a little fuzzy in the middle.
Perhaps this horrible trailer will jog your memory.
But I can't for the life of me remember what happened to the warlock at the end.
Oh wait, this is the trailer to the good one. Hold on. Let me find the trailer to the shitty one we just watched. Got the link here, and man, I miss New World Pictures. I think they release some cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost all of my favorite 80s movies are pretty much New World Pictures.
Yeah, are they gone, or just not doing cool stuff anymore?
They're gone. They were I think they folded or something, and their properties were sold. I still couldn't believe that was Jennifer... Ashley Lawrence. Like, she just didn't look anything like herself, you know?
No, I'm just really sad how far she has fallen.
Like, hey, nothing beats a little scare now and then. Gets the endorphins flowing.
Her gross boyfriend. Everybody's gross in this movie. All her gross friends.
A house has been in my family for hundreds of years.
And the craft.
Like
what if they were
totally
the same
empty?
movie?
Why don't you come with me? It'll be an adventure.
Will be the blowout they've been waiting
man,
for.
The 90s was just trying so hard to be edgy.
Yeah, it's just all 90s. Like, everything about this.
Hello. My name is Philip Covington.
It's an uninvited stranger that will be the life of the party.
I get a bad vibe. You get a bad vibe watching cartoons.
He will promise them everything.
You love her, don't you? I could help you win her.
But give them what they least expect.
Look what Philip gave me.
You know, we always wanted one of these.
Get ready to pray for survival.
His soul is
They're so half-assed into that, like, kinky stuff, too.
I don't like this. He's not what he seems. I think he's a witch, Chris. A warlock.
Warlocks mark their spells with an aid of a personal item from their victim.
Fight for your life and never
That was the
give up.
lamest witch battle ever.
I know.
Your soul.
What do you want?
Poison bride.
We gotta get out of here.
Those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it.
You know, that's a good final line to go out on. Those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it, because this film reminded me exactly what sucked about the 90s.
Oh, that's so true. Terrible straight leg jeans.
Oh man, the scrunchy sweaters where every woman was showing her midriff along with her belly button ring, and nobody washed their hair.
Wiccans.
Oh my gosh, and the kind who go to like bookstores and shop for the love spell books and then light the incense and think they can cast real spells.
Yeah, that was like all my friends in college.
Oh my, that was my friends in middle school.
Yeah.
Oh, this movie. It doesn't even deserve an amusing synopsis, so I didn't write one for it.
No, that's fine. I mean, what can you really say? Like, it's already making me stutter. I'm so irritated.
Yeah,
It's, I guess, a bottle episode of the Warlock series, right? Essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, she gets a call from a lawyer saying she has inherited. No, she hasn't inherited. Some, like, ancestral home of hers is about to be turned down, and she's allowed to go get stuff from it. But, like, when she gets, there's nothing there. Like, she gets there and there's some furniture, right?
Yeah. Did you catch where this ancestral home is?
Yeah, New England. All the witchy stuff happens in New England.
Okay. Then I guess it kind of makes sense that everybody around there has British accents, except for the historian.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it makes sense that that house is a Tudor-style mansion. I started this movie and I was angry watching it. I was like, oh, this is one of those films.
Mm-hmm.
Straight to video, by the way.
Yeah. I, for some reason, have seen, like, I distinctly remember seeing this 2 other times. So I've seen this movie 3 times total in my life.
What were we saying? On Discord, this was a makeout movie because you can only ever half-ass pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that's my problem right now. I don't remember the last half of the movie at all. And I sat here and watched it. I think the only reason I remember the first half is because I watched it twice.
Okay, well, do you remember, and I'm going to spoil this. I'm sorry if you care if it's being spoiled, guys, but it's really not worth being surprised because you won't be surprised. You don't remember the dude in the furry suit at the end, supposedly a Satan goat?
No.
Okay, well, after she had stabbed the warlock with her talisman, which was a knife, like the place caught on fire and you saw him screaming and waving around, then you saw him as a goat man, but it was a really bad, like, furry costume goat.
No, I don't. I don't remember that at all.
Oh yeah, it was. Basically, she goes to her ancestral home, and you find out what her ancestor owed her daughter to this guy, so he could kill her daughter and bring her back as his wife.
All right, that's ringing a bell.
Yeah,
that I kind of remember. And like, she was supposed to take her place.
I couldn't tell if this main girl was supposed to be the reincarnation of the daughter or if her mom had sent her forward in time.
I just assumed she was supposed to take her place. Like, it was a completely different girl.
Yeah. But they were talking about memories and everything, and then she remembered the knife and the doll.
Well, ancestral memories.
Ancestral memories. I don't think this movie is that deep.
No, you're probably right.
Like, I can't even think of a death in this that wasn't super lame. And that's like the best part of Warlock 2 were the deaths. You know, that was the saving grace of that one.
Yeah, you just get you've got like, the witch fight had the potential to be the coolest thing. Like, the female witch comes into her own and like, strikes down the Warlock potentially and almost beats him, but he gets the drop on her and ends up killing her. That's how that should have gone.
But instead she just makes some shelves fly.
Yeah, she did some telekinesis crap, and then he froze her and smashed her into bad CGI people glass.
Yep. Again,
Terrible.
This is just a Buffy episode. Which,
It
at least
is
you can
a
forgive
bad Buffy
for bad CGI because it was a 90s television series.
Right.
It wasn't
God, this is so Buffy. Like it's like the costume designer worked on Buffy, in fact.
Yeah. Now that chronologically, this isn't even related to the first two Warlock movies, so I'm pretty sure it was just a movie they made, and they owned the property rights to the title Warlock, so they were like, we'll make more money back if we name this Warlock 3.
Right. Or they didn't want to lose the rights, so...
Oh, I'm sorry, Warlock 3, The End of Innocence.
Right. But nobody in this... There's not one innocent in this movie either. Let's do a quick character study. We've got the bondage couple.
There's no really bad at bondage.
Yes. We've got the witch, who's technically blaspheming and probably does some naked dancing. There's no innocence there.
I'm sure she's a lesbian too.
Probably, maybe. Well, I don't want to assume her.
Well, she's definitely into Ashley Lawrence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No doubt. You got creepy boyfriend and Ashley Lawrence, and he's like slimy all over her every chance he gets. There's no innocence there.
And he likes to scare the hell out of her.
Yeah. And then you've got stoner boyfriend who is just high all the time. That's not an innocent thing to do. So there's no end of innocence. These people ended their innocence before the Warlock was warlocking.
Yeah, this is the Scooby Gang if you absolutely hated all of them. And there's no dog.
You know what this is? This is the Scooby Gang if they're all different versions of Scrappy.
You will be my consort. Scrappy-Doo!
Oh, God. Oh,
now I'm picturing Scrappy-Doo in a white nightgown in front of the mirror groping himself. Which, again, another movie with a woman looking in the mirror groping herself.
Mm-hmm. It seems to be a common theme. What was I going to say? I keep thinking of stuff and then it goes away because everything's so terrible and my brain's rebelling against this film.
Well...
Let's talk about some more. Let's talk about what's going on here. Mm. So the Warlock's got to go. Like he's trying to get all of her friends to deny her, right?
Or to give her over to him. Yeah.
Okay, that's what it is. And they all do it except for the stoner because he truly loves her. Mm-hmm. But the Warlock's like, "Yo, check this out. She was talking shit." And then he's like, oh, yeah, the bad guy totally just projected her talking shit on the wall, so I better believe him.
Well, maybe that's why she was talking shit, because he's also a piece of shit.
Yeah, but she didn't really do that, did she?
She might have.
I thought that was made up. Like, I had assumed that was just made up.
I think that was probably a conversation she'd had at some point.
But I don't know.
It was hard to pay attention and remember everything they said, because they were all so boring.
That's a good point. Like, yeah, so it's another one of those things where, like, you have to voluntarily give her to me, but I can trick you into doing it, you know, which is sort of a cheap plot device to get to where you need to go.
Yeah. It kind of felt like they were trying to make this also a kind of Hellraiser movie because Ashley Lawrence is in it. Mm. And again, doing that very poorly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's done other Hellraiser movies poorly as well, though.
Oh, she's been in other poor Hellraiser movies. She didn't do them poorly. There was never a flaw with her performance.
Well, I'd have to go back and see it, but I remember her at least being super bored in it.
Everyone must have been super bored with this, because maybe not the Warlock. He seemed like he was having fun.
Yeah, that guy, I didn't look up his name, but that guy seems to just enjoy what he does, you know?
And that is Bruce Payne, who was in Full Eclipse, which was the cop wolf movie directed by our last movie director, yes. Anthony Hickox.
Yes. What's that? I remembered what it was called. I think I said it earlier in the episode.
I just said it. Full Eclipse.
Full Eclipse. That's right.
I just said it like 10 seconds ago.
I don't know how I missed that. Sorry.
Just talking about this movie is like a date film. You just tune out.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, man. And, of course, at the beginning, when all the friends are together before she has to go to the house, there's this big, dumb, long exposition, because that's the most interesting way to get a lot of plot into a movie in one moment, is to just have someone talk and talk and talk.
Right. It's always a good idea to monologue.
Yeah. Now, good things about this movie. I guess she was cool as in the old-timey scenes.
Yeah. They have, yeah, I don't know. Sure.
She did a decent accent and the dress looked decent.
Did she? Because I can't remember. I do remember the dress looking okay, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it wasn't an outrageously complicated dress, so.
Yeah. Let's see, what else was good about this movie? The makeup when the boyfriend was rotting was kind of cool. Yeah,
that was okay. It was slimy. It was gross. It was about as slimy as he was.
Yeah, and his skin was kind of peeling. I would have liked to have seen more of that.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I would have you know what? They should have made that a more of a big plot thing that started from the very beginning as you saw him psychologically break down. That would have been cool.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant the makeup on him. I thought you were he should have herpes.
All right. He probably does.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
I'm sure everyone in that group had herpes. Even the guy who wasn't getting laid.
Yeah.
He probably got it from some bad pot. I don't know.
I don't think that's how drugs work, Matthew.
It would in a movie like this. Yeah, so, do you have anything else to say about this?
No.
Wow. Well, guys.
Except just don't see it. Watch the other two, I guess. Yeah, watch the other two, but feel free to skip this. There's no Julian Sands. There's very little interesting thing. There's not much going on that's interesting in this film. So I would say definitely stick to the first two and avoid this one.
Yeah.
Unless you hate yourself like we do.
I mean, Bruce Payne wasn't terrible, but the movie was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing you could really salvage from this.
Which can be said about just about every Bruce Payne movie.
What'd you call him? The bargain bin, Julian Sands?
Mm-hmm. But he tries, and he likes what he does, and it shows. So I will give him that.
So I think I just saw your stomach twitch, Corey.
No, I'm fine. That's ow. That's.
Wait, hold on. Hold it back. We got to do our credits.
All right. Okay, I'm good.
All right, cool. Okay, if you want to check out our blog, you can find us at Hallow-Holic.blogspot.com or Hallow-Holic.wordpress.com.
If you would like to reach your hands deep into the Twitterverse and find a way to communicate with us, look for us at Nowhere23 or by searching Hallow-Holics.
You can also email us mystically with some rune stones or your keyboard at Hallow-Holics@outlook.com. The keyboard's probably more effective than the rune stones.
Probably. There's a man in my room, same man as usual, with a very elaborate chest rig. Inside this rig, he has a living fetus floating in goo.
Okay, like goo or?
Well, like some sort of amniotic fluid to keep it alive.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice of him.
Mm-hmm. It's pressing its face up against its jar, tapping out what I think is, please go to Podpedia and search for our porthole, HHA.
That's a highly evolved fetus in a jar.
I've been playing a lot of this game called Death Stranding lately, and that you carry around this little baby in a jar, and he tells you when monsters are around.
Okay, so you've learned some communication skills then.
Yeah. Right.
Our next episode is going to be a Jim Jarmusch episode.
I'm so excited for this. We're finally doing two good movies at once.
We've done it before.
Not for a while, though.
Yeah, that's true. I'll be talking about The Dead Don't Die.
And I will be doing Only Lovers Left Alive, which is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Mm-hmm. And these are probably movies we won't have to watch multiple times because we won't be paying attention, because Jim Jarmusch is pretty cool.
No, I could actually probably do this episode right now. Yeah. Even with The Dead Don't Die. I've only seen it once, but it stuck with me pretty well.
Well, I know it's going to be hard not to bring up movies like scenes from Coffee and Cigarettes when we talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Tom Waits and Iggy Pop. That was an awesome scene.
Yeah, and so was the two from that bluesy band.
Mm-hmm.
Jack White shows, what's his name, his Tesla coil. That's what it was called.
Corey, what's that? You're dripping something.
No, it's fine. That always happens. That always comes out of there. It's cool.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go take a shower.
Okay. Oh God.
It's fine. Ah!